Let's dig into this lesson plan and prepare for next week. I see there are already supports built into the lesson that will help many of our students process information, such as the use of visuals to introduce vocabulary and sharing ideas and connections with the new words.
I see that too. Before we talk through including additional supports, what's the most important core content learning?
Well, students should be able to answer questions using the text to support their answers. Their success will depend on reading grade level text with new vocabulary words, understanding what they have read, answering specific questions about the text, and identifying details within the text to support their answers.
It sounds like we're going to need to scaffold some of the learning tasks for most of our students. At first glance, we may need to find text that's simplified but still includes new vocabulary. We'll want to break down new tasks into smaller learning objectives, model, activate prior knowledge, and provide prompts for really difficult learning.
From what you've told me about scaffolding for students with disabilities, it sounds like it's important to identify where individual students will have greater difficulty and then plan the appropriate supports to help master those new skills.
Yes, and I'm most concerned with Sarah's ability to progress through this content this week. I think if we plan additional scaffolds for her, we'll be sure to have supports for everyone in class.
Let's take a look at the materials and before reading and see how you suggest we make some adjustments to support Sarah.
Hearing what you identified as the most important learning, Sarah's weaknesses with vocabulary, reading fluency, and her overall need for additional time when acquiring complex skills may impact her performance and acquisition of these new skills.
I think citing evidence might be very difficult for her at first.
I do too. She may have difficulty identifying an answer, locating supporting details, and evaluating the evidence. It may be wise for us to provide a completed "What does this evidence prove" column to initially reduce the number of new skills.
I can also provide some sentence starters or fill in the blank sentences to help her formulate her answers in the evidence column as well.
Great. I'll provide additional models like a routine format for answers that include text details to help structure her responses with citations from the text.
Good plan. Like I said before, I will introduce the vocabulary with images to hopefully support Sarah.
I think so. However, considering Sarah's weakest skills, I think the place where she's going to have the most difficulty in before reading is with the new vocabulary. These are new words, some have multiple meanings, and are far outside her instructional reading level. We should plan to provide additional support to assist her.
So, what scaffolding strategies are you considering?
I was thinking either to pre-teach vocabulary or tap into prior knowledge. Pre-teach vocabulary is important so that she can be better prepared prior to the lesson and then can focus on citing evidence skills. But tapping into prior knowledge may be helpful as she has some knowledge of different sports and may have less difficulty remembering the new words or new meanings if she can make those connections to the words.
Which do we settle on?
I could plan to do both. I can introduce and practice the words ahead of time with her and build the connections through her knowledge of sports in the pre-teach session.
Do you think that's enough to support her through the before reading section?
Yes, but I'll also want to review the vocabulary daily, adding the new words with pictures to her vocabulary deck to help her retain the words and be able to use them in the future.
I like how we got through that. First, we considered the scaffold already in place to support all students. Then the needs of our most priority student as we reviewed the standards. Then we identified where that student may have difficulty and chose areas where you could reduce stress and allow her to focus on standard content and new skills. Finally, you chose scaffolding strategies that would help reduce stress based on her individual needs. Did I capture all the steps?
Yes, it's also important we go back and make sure we've met all the students' needs with the appropriate individual scaffolds.
Okay, let's continue getting through this.
Great. So in the during reading section, I think